Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Can you believe this? I didn't pack the right charging cable for one of my lights. I'm in Indonesia, so my light finally went out. I got this nice little light over here. I got to buy a stupid cable in some random market. So pardon me if you don't get, perfect megapixel Dave here with the lighting. Everyone's like, oh, Dave, you look so young for 78 years old. And I'm usually like, well, there's 7 lights coming at me. They're blocking every wrinkle. But now you see the truth, the wizard behind the screen here. Okay, all right. Pay no mind to the man behind the curtain. All right, here we are. So Zach shares his biggest regret. This is going to be a good video. A, because I don't want to make it. And 2, because there's really no content to drive it, so it's going to be a lot of barrel scraping. But we're going to get into it nonetheless. I'm going to share 3 clips of Zach on the forgettable podcast, Bachelor Happy Hour, or whatever it's called. And then we're going to get out of here. But first, I have to say, and I'm promoting this heavily because it's non-Bachelor related, and it's on my main channel. Influencer hires detective and gets revenge. That's right. An influencer hired a private detective to find all of the trolls that have been costing her jobs and making her life a living hell. She went full Liam Neeson on everybody. I've got this full story on YouTube, but if you want to check it out, audio format, it's going to be linked in the comment section below, and you can listen to Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast. It is a fascinating story. I can't wait to hear what you think. All right, let's get into it. Zach's biggest regret watching his season back. My biggest regret is that he was the Bachelor, but I digress. Let's hear what he has to say.
What have been some of your biggest shocks or surprises watching it all back? Because as you just said,
first of all, okay, we have to cut off. This is Becca doing the old Nick Viall line of questioning where she asks a question and then talks for another minute.
This is watching it all back. Because as you just said, you were living in what was reality for you, but then you see all of the interviews with the women back and you piece together each of the stories a little bit more. So what has been most surprising or shocking to you?
One that comes to memory is what happened really in Estonia with Kat pulling me out into the hallway before the charity one-on-one date. And I didn't know what had followed and been the reality for the girls for the past week or so afterwards. I didn't know that it caused such issues or conflict within the women, so much so that it did. I thought it was just kind of something that had happened, and then it's all right, the next day we're on a date and now we're traveling to the next location, and I didn't know how much stress that caused for everyone else in the fighting that had happened. Didn't learn that till I watched the episode. Really, I didn't know that was a conflict by any means.
So let me ask you this then. So now that you're kind of watching it all back, you've lived it, is there one moment or several moments where you
Actually, I wanted Michelle to ask the next question.
thought maybe I shouldn't have reacted so quickly, or do you stand by basically every decision you've made thus far?
No, I've definitely looked back and looked at quite a few situations where I know I could have handled it way better. The decisions, of having to send someone home, I do stand by that because I'm, feeling out and seeing who could my person be. But to get to that point, there were, a few interactions in general where I look back and I see that I failed myself, I failed that person, and, not necessarily who I am. And I, want to get better from it. So the decisions, yes, but not the way I have handled some of them.
Good golly, this is boring. Are you guys seeing? Is this anybody else? Are they getting paid for how many questions they ask? Because if they do, Michelle is broke. All right, here it is. Zach shares a juicy sneak peek for Women Tell All. I haven't listened to this yet, folks, but I am going to go ahead and call that it's not that juicy. And this guy, look, it's nothing against Zach. He's the lead of the franchise, and they don't have a better setup for him. They're shooting this in 420p. I've literally seen terrorist beheading videos higher quality than this.
Tuesday, so we'll have a back-to-back episode night without giving.
But I got to tell you, the ladies do look good. They got good quality. Michelle looks like she's got a nice little setup. This is our second video, and so far Michelle has said a total of 0 letters.
too much away, is there anything that you can tease us for what's to come, like what to expect with the remainder of the season?
Yeah. I'll just say after Women Tell All, overnight week, fantasy suite week, um, it it gets, I don't want to use the word juicy, but it gets.
Ooh, fantasy
Too
suite
late.
coming
I was
up.
gonna say now, yeah, fantasy suite. The word juicy. No, it's no,
Very descriptive.
He's like, is it juicy or were they dry as a desert during the fantasy suites?
Chains and juicy.
it's juicy and does not necessarily go the way I think we all thought it would. So,
Oh,
Okay, so the fantasy suite doesn't go the way we thought it would. I mean, this is almost like we're all prisoners and we got to take whatever food they feed us. They're like, you know what? He wants some of this slop, and it's like, no, I'd prefer lasagna, but I guess I have to eat your slop. But that's maybe we don't have to eat it. Maybe this is why the ratings are down. But either way, I mean, look, I mean, am I being critical? I'm not being critical of his character as a person. I find I'd rather watch paint dry, to be quite honest.
It's a really good teaser.
Is it a
well,
really
yeah,
good teaser?
now I'm
not
thinking
what
like
I'm nervous about. That's
To say that the thing's not going to go as expected, isn't that every episode? Okay, let's go to our third clip here. Which woman's family was Zach the most nervous? By the way, am I being a little salty? As you guys know, I'm recording this 16 hours ahead of time, so it's 10 p.m. Friday night my time here. To be quite honest, we ordered lemon meringue pie to the hotel room because I've abandoned all diet. But hey, it's my honeymoon. I found a lady who's going to marry me, or we are married, so we don't have to worry about, you can eat as many lemon meringue pies as you want on your honeymoon is my point. Okay, here we go.
into closer to hometowns, but I just want to ask you this too, because now we've all seen the episode. We know your final four. Was there maybe one woman or family in particular that you were like really nervous, whether it was because you were like so into that person that you were like, this could be my future in-laws, or somebody that you were like, oh, they've warned me that their parents are going to be kind of harsh? Like, who was one of the girls' families that you were most nervous to see?
That's a great question. It was Ariel's family. So she had
Her dad that thought it was Game of Thrones.
he was like, anything with the spa, it's an orgy or whatever it is. Like,
They're gonna make you get naked.
and I was and I was like, a little nervous but excited to meet him, but I was also warned of not warned but prepared for her brother. And I'm an older brother myself with two younger sisters, that have had boyfriends, and I've played the macho older brother role, at a younger time, but she prepared me for that. And so I was really nervous going into meeting her brother, who, without any spoilers.
All right, so that's where it ends. All right, folks. Well, we made it through the 3 videos of Zach on the Happy Hour podcast. That's all we have for you today. If there's any other breaking news, I'll try to get to it. But it appears, again, I don't know. I'm actually a little worried. I don't know if we're gonna have a payoff on this season. It's been since we had some pretty juicy stuff happen in Bachelor in Paradise, but the last 3 months, there just hasn't been a story that gets the juices flowing, to use their words, in Bachelor Nation. We'll have to see what the next one is, but either way, we're still kicking it. We're still doing the dang thing. Barrel scraping is supposed to be an off-season tactic. I kind of feel like a farmer who's trying to grow plants without any rain here. But that's how I feel, folks. All right, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. Also, Bachelor Rush Hour, the afternoon podcast. You can go check that out. Right now, it's live, baby. Go have a listen. Link in the comment section. Have a good weekend, everybody. Do something I wouldn't do, and then some.